Hey, I'm Felicia, and I help high performing corporate women turn their expertise into job optional leverage without quitting their job. Now, let me ask you a question. Why is it that smart, high performing women with real results, with real credibility, and real expertise who are still employed still struggle to turn their experience into paid consulting or advisory work on the side, even when the market is clearly looking for help? And before we go any further, I just want to say that this is not quit your job energy. This is job optional leverage built on your timeline while you're still employed. Because in 2026, a job title isn't a protection plan, but your expertise, if it becomes portable, can be. So if you're watching this and you're thinking, I'm not ready to leave, Felicia, I just want options. You're exactly who I made this for. Now, let's get specific because right now, inside a lot of organizations, trust is eroding. And it's not because leaders don't care, it's not because the values aren't printed on the wall. Trust is eroding because employees can feel when leadership communication is overly scripted, overly careful, full of we hear you, but short on truth, or constantly changing depending on optics. And when trust erodes, everything gets expensive. Whether it's change adoption slowing down, engagement dropping, attrition rising, and managers getting stuck in endless explanation loops, and the culture gets heavy. So if you've ever looked at a company and thought, their culture isn't broken, it's their messaging, you're not alone. And I have to say, this isn't just personal. Senior comms leaders are saying the same thing, and that is that clarity reduces chaos. Now, here's the part most people miss. The reason corporate women struggle to start consulting while still employed isn't a strategy gap. It's what happens in your body when it's time to initiate, when it's time to pitch, when it's time to ask, without the protection of the title doing the heavy lifting, right? And so, under pressure, you start to brace, then you buffer, then you start over explaining. And that's how brilliant outreach dies in the drafts. And it's not because you don't know what to say, it's because your system has learned what felt safe. And so let me show you the runway formula. The runway formula is right targets. And what that means is that you have a clean message and you have regulated follow through. Is so very important because right targets means that you're speaking to the people who actually own the problem. They're the one that's going to want to get it fixed most urgently, right? And a clean message means you're direct without apologizing, without hedging, or without resume dumping. And a regulated follow through, that means you don't spiral after you hit send. And if you're building job optional leverage while you're still employed, this matters because outreach is not just marketing, outreach is identity. It's you crossing that belief bridge from employee who hopes to expert who offers. So very important. Now, here's where trust erosion connects directly to the work we do around voice sovereignty. When you think about it, inside organization, trust erodes when leadership speaks in unclean language. Truth plus fear, truth plus optics, truth plus good old permission seeking. And the same pattern happens when you reach out to a potential consulting buyer. Now, I want you to think of it like this: unclean equals truth plus fear, whereas clean equals truth plus ownership. And an unclean message sounds like, I'm not sure if this is relevant. I don't know. I know you're probably busy. This might be a stretch. And I just wanted to introduce myself. It's cautious, it's padded, it's trying not to take up space. But a clean message, on the other hand, it sounds like this. I help internal comms and people leaders reduce trust erosion during change. Is this showing up for you this quarter? And if so, are you open to a 10-minute conversation? See, clean doesn't beg, clean doesn't perform. Clean respects time and it communicates authority. So, what do you actually do in this lane? In case you're wondering. Well, you help organizations close the gap between what leaders say and what employees trust. Because trust isn't built by perfect messaging. Trust is built by messaging that is clear, consistent, human, and accountable. And when you can stabilize communication in high stakes moments, whether it's reorgs, whether it's layoffs, DEI fatigue, performance cycles, we're changing directions again. You're not doing soft skills, you're protecting retention, you're protecting execution, you're protecting the culture economy. And that's why comms has shifted from support to value creation. Because when trust drops, everything gets expensive. And if you've been the person inside your company who carries that weight, Runway helps you translate that expertise into consulting conversations without leaving your job first. How cool is that? And so here's a simple example because I really want to make this real for you. An unclean leadership message may sound like this: we value transparency and we're exploring options. We'll share more when we can. Now, what do you think employees hear when they hear that? They're saying something is happening and you're not telling us. The trust gap widens, right? But a clean leadership message is this: here's what we know, here's what we don't know yet, here's what we're deciding by Friday, and here's what you can expect next. See the difference? That message allows trust to rise because reality is named. And that's voice sovereignty applied to culture. So if you're trying to build consulting work around this alongside your job, you don't need a logo. You don't need to post every day. What you need is the right 15 targets, one clean message, and a follow rhythm that doesn't feel like chasing. And that's how you build job optional leverage quietly and ethically before you ever decide to leave. So, if you want help building this, I'm hosting a live 90-minute training called Runway, the Clean Outreach Lab. It's $7 and you'll leave with three things: a right 15 target list starter, a clean outreach message that you can send immediately, and a follow up rhythm that protects your dignity and your nervous system. This is not about quitting your job. This is about building leverage on your terms and on your timeline so you get to decide when it's time to go, right? And if the company happens to decide before you do, you'll be ready, right? So you can scroll down on this page and reserve your seat below. And after you register, you'll also receive an invite plus free 48-hour access to my masterclass, How to Go from Corporate to Consultant. Find your voice and brand strategy to start a consulting business without burnout. I'll see you on the inside.